Burger is here from the Burger Law Firm right here on the square, and both good friends as well. Now, Morgan, this is odd to say that, but, and I know she gets tired of hearing it from all those old guys.
Oh, I love it.
We last time when I walked in, the first thing I told her is that I got to get this out of the way. The last time I seen you, you were just this high, about up to my knee. And that's true because you and your grandmother were at Dillard's. It was around Christmas time. And her granddad was a man. Well, grandparents that I knew were Joe and Jean Beasley, and who have since passed and no longer with us, but two of the finest people that ever was. And her dad and mom, Terry and Cindy, I hope they're listening tonight. I haven't had a chance to talk to them in years. If I remember right, I think Steve, my brother, for Raymer Brothers Limousine, I think we did their wedding, I believe.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've got
as local as it gets.
I got to build a house on that. I'll get with you later.
Okay.
That hadn't been about 40 years ago. I don't hold a grudge, though.
No.
All right. And, yes, the views expressed are the views of the host and my guest, and we're not going to be shy about it tonight. We're going to be talking about the disabilities, what is the ADA?
Americans with Disabilities.
Americans with Disability, and some mail that's been going back and forth here, and we're going to try to get to the bottom of it. But for right now, my name is Edwin Raymer, and we're going to get started on this thing. And, yes, I am still a private investigator. Welcome aboard.
This is the Edwin Lee Raymer Show with your host, Ed Raymer, on your good neighbor station, News Radio, WGNS Murfreesboro.
And that is a little stiff upper lip for you from AC/DC. And yes, this is the Edwin Lee Raymer Show. I'm your host, Ed Raymer, coming to you. The show is produced here at the studios of WGNS, AM 1450, AM 1450, and 100.5, 101.9 FM, right here in the heart of the great volunteer state, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. You can reach us tonight with your questions, comments, or thoughts at 615-893-1450. That's 615-893-1450. And you can also send us a text to that number, and Jackson will be glad to read it over the air, or he'll write it down. Me and Ken or Morgan will be glad to read it for you, for those of you who might be a little too shy to be heard on the air, and we certainly understand that some of you are. You can also watch us live at News Radio, WGNS, on YouTube. We are on YouTube Live right now. My wife listens on Alexa. She sees enough of me at the house, and so she doesn't have to see me on television or whatever. And but we are there. Now, I want you to know you can also download the WGNS app and take WGNS with you wherever you go and listen whenever you wish. Angela Bingham was on earlier tonight. You can always listen to us. You can listen to her. Her show, Simplicity. She's on every Sunday at 6, doing a great job. And, yes, she is one of the Bingham sisters. Fantastic singing group. Ken Berger's here. Ken, how's your station doing? I mean, this is odd. Ken and I have an odd friendship. He and his wife Judy and your family, you own
WQJZ. Yeah, with Jim Gilmore.
And you have it's 503c,
501c3, jazz and blues, and a lot of public service work with Tom Christie. And no, you're right. We have a mutual admiration. I was telling somebody the other day, we were talking about radio in general. I said, in Murfreesboro, we have a local radio station there that is the quintessential example of what local radio is supposed to do and how they're supposed to do it.
That it is.
And Murfreesboro needs to be proud of WGNS and its heritage and its history. And I go back to the days with Bill Vogel and Monty Hale Sr. When I was in college here.
Right.
They've helped a lot of college boys through school with their
John Hood, the bunch that hung around here
in the early to mid 50s. A lot of good people have come through here, and it's evolved into, as I said, in my opinion, with your focus on local issues and local interest, it's the quintessential example, the textbook example of how local radio ought to be.
Right, and you've got a bit of a different situation tonight. You're here with one of your clients, and you're going to speak about a case. But as when I started this show 10 years ago, it started out the PI show with Edwin Lee Raymer. And I didn't really want my name on it, you know. But Zach Troutman, wonderful young man at the time, he's still around somewhere. He's down in Nashville, I think. And he said, well, Ed, look at it this way. Said, your name has got a nice lilt to it, Edwin Lee Raymer. And I said, I don't know. I'm not much on, you know, could just name it the PI show. He said, no. Said, Edwin Lee Raymer, think about it. All serial killers, John Wilkes Booth, Lee Harvey Oswald, Mark David Chapman, John Wayne Gacy. It just rolls right off my tongue. And it was amazing. I knew every one of those fellas. So I hope you brought your contract tonight. I may need one more.
I'm here if I'm needed.
And that's how it happened. And after 2 years, of course, as you know, and what I was getting at, you can't go on the air and talk about cases. You can't. You just can't.
Typically, you can't. But I'm primed and ready to go tonight.
I know you are. Yes, we were speaking earlier.
As she'll tell you, I have a hard time restraining myself.
When I first got here, I do not want to do politics. I'm not going to do it. After about 2 years, I said, I think I'm going to start doing some politics. So we did, and thank goodness the station has let me be.
They've indulged you.
They have, yes, and they have, if we could say, been very patient with me. If it was a written text, you could put patient in big red letters and underline it several times. They've been very patient with me, and I appreciate the Walker family. Now, let's get down to why you're here. Tell us about the ADA and why Morgan is here with us.
First, Ed, thank you for the invitation to talk about this. And no, I don't go on the radio and talk about my cases. Typically, this is such an odd, to me, at this late stage in my career, such an odd thing. And it is both, in a way, it's sort of simple, and in a way, it's complex. And let me just kind of set the stage for what is so agitating about what
Please do.
Morgan and I have to talk about here.
You have 53 minutes. Go right ahead.
Morgan and her family have 6 businesses here in town. They're family businesses gone back generations.
Joe
and
Beasley,
part of the
right.
Mr.
Beasley, I knew of a bunch of those.
Conscientious, good people who take care of the employees, take care of business, and are contributors to this community.
Sure.
Morgan, like a whole bunch of Murfreesboro businessmen, about 6 months ago, started getting letters from this Memphis law firm, Wampler Law Firm. Rebecca Hutto is the particular attorney.
Okay.
And they have been doing, under the guise of this Americans with Disabilities Act, what I can only describe as a shakedown. I wouldn't go so far as to describe it as a scam, but it's it borders on it. Maybe it is a scam. Maybe Morgan would disagree.
Honestly, we thought it was at first.
It's very much a shakedown, and it's an illegal perversion of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Correct.
Let me go back to what I was telling you out in the hall a minute ago.
Sure.
The fundamentals are important to understand about why what is going on here is such an outrage, and why so many Murfreesboro businessmen have been cheated out of $8,000 or so for purported attorney's fees for this Rebecca Hutto and her Wampler Law Firm.
When did you first learn of this, may I ask?
Bill Taylor walked into my office. I don't know.
Bill Taylor, one of the
friend of mine,
upstanding citizens here, has changed many young men and women in his karate classes.
I didn't know Ms. Newman, and I'm shutting down. I would say I'm not here to ask people to come to me or to generate my business.
I know you're not. That's the first thing you said.
Let me say, if somebody has an issue and they have received one of these shakedown letters, you need to go to your attorney. Don't come to me. I am old and tired, and I am inching toward retirement. I want to play with my radio station and otherwise be left alone.
Yeah.
But this kind of thing just sets me on fire.
I know it does.
And here's the law. The law is a very worthy law. It's a very good law. The Americans with Disabilities Act had a good legislative purpose behind it. It's to take care of disabled people, to keep them from being discriminated against.
Exactly.
No right-thinking, good, kind Christian person would not want that to happen. So it's a good law. Title III of that, and there are a lot of aspects to it. Title III says if you got a business like her Avis business down here on Northwest Broad Street,
Avis Rent-A-Car.
Yep.
My wife and daughter have rented cars there many times.
People ought to be able to pull in there, get out of there in their wheelchair, and roll in there and do business with them.
Sure.
And as they can. That's the key thing. But the law says if you are not in compliance and you've built a building since 1990, some of them before 1990 are grandfathered in, but if you built a business and you are not in compliance with the ADA law, this is where it's pretty simple. You need a law degree to understand this. It's pretty simple. You can file a lawsuit in federal court. But you can't get damages. You cannot get any type of monetary compensation.
Okay.
All you can do is get an order from the court that says make it right, fix it, and this is the key thing about what I'm going to tell you about this crazy attorney's fee part of it in a few minutes. You can get those fees that are solely and exclusively necessary to file it. So you file that. You say you send someone like Ms. Newman a letter here and she ignores it. You file the suit and you settle it quickly. You get a small amount of attorney's fees. You litigate it for 3 years, you get a big attorney's fee. It's
usual and customary.
Usual and customary stuff. But here's the perversion of that very worthy good law. Miss Rebecca Hutto, an attorney in Memphis, and the Wampler firm have turned this into a cottage industry. And they're not the only ones. There's some other scoundrels out there who are with their law degrees are stealing from people, in my opinion.
Right.
They will send you a letter, and they will say, sir or ma'am, you are not in compliance. One of our, quote, ADA testers, this may be a person, by the way, who has never set foot on the property, has never seen the property, but they've looked at it on the internet. I'm not making this stuff
Go
up.
up through Google.
Yep, Google.
Whatever.
And they said,
Sure.
looks to me like you've got some unlevel surfaces there, or looks to me like your painting on your lines is not good. So therefore, and this is, I promise I'm not making this up. She will attest the truth of this.
Yeah.
They send a letter to all of these businessmen starting about 6 months ago. They had done it in Memphis with 4 or 5 of these testers who are disabled.
Changing nothing but the name, by the way.
Yeah, and changing nothing but the name.
Okay.
It's a standard letter.
Copy and paste.
Copy and paste. Pro forma, we call it in there.
Right.
They send a letter, and with that letter, they have the complaint drafted. And again, it's a standard complaint. And they say, you are not in compliance with the ADA law, but we want to help you get in compliance. But the first thing you got to do, you got to pay us an $8,000 attorney's fee. And that's not negotiable, as many poor local businessmen here in Murfreesboro have already fallen victim to this. And I hope if there are any who are out there who've just recently gotten that letter, because they're still sending them out, will call their lawyer and challenge this as Miss Beasley, Miss Newman.
I'll take it.
So the bottom line of that, she gets a lot, along with a lot of local businessmen. They get this letter.
Yes.
You send us $8,000 and you fix things. Well, the problem is hers didn't need fixing. This character, who was the plaintiff in this case, had never laid eyes on her property. Her Avis property over there is as flat can be.
That it is.
They have 2 good, well-marked places for wheelchair-bound individuals.
Sure.
They do business with people like that all the time.
Yes.
And so...
My wife being one of them.
Yeah, you've told me that.
I know.
But the complaint has pure fabrications in it about there being uneven places, fabrications about having attempted to talk her into doing the right thing and fixing it when actually they're exempt under the grandfather law. Other defenses I'm not going to bore you or your listeners with.
That's fine.
The bottom line to this shakedown is this. They want $8,000 up front. They want you, there's not even a serious attempt to get you to comply. They want you to then promise you're going to comply, and in 90 days send them a picture showing that you've complied. Now, you don't need a law degree to figure out that that's got a bad smell to it, and there's something wrong with that.
Right.
And Morgan will tell you they've had no problems with any of their customers there, many of whom are disabled.
Ever.
And she's emphasized to me when she came in and asked me if I would take this over, and I sort of reluctantly got into it because it looked so bad. I'll tell you the thing that just struck me about it is the people are here's the damned if you do, damned if you don't problem with this thing. She's got a choice of paying Miss Hutto and her law firm in Memphis $8,000, or since they will not negotiate it, she goes to a lawyer, whether it's me or someone else.
Right.
And if you get an experienced, federal court experienced trial lawyer,
which it will take.
A lot of lawyers don't.
It will
it's got to
take.
be in federal court.
Right, it's federal court.
And there are a lot of lawyers who don't go down there, and the ones who do, it's a lot of hours ahead, a lot of hours, a lot of hard work, a lot of stress ahead if it's actually tried. So
because you do have to go to Nashville. You don't do it here locally.
It's not an option to say, well, Miss Hutto, let me just, if you think the lines are not distinct enough on my parking lot, let me repair those lines, as she ended up doing conscientiously, even though really she didn't need to, but she did.
Right. Okay.
But that's the choice. You don't have the option to comply. It's send the law firm the $8,000, or go hire Ken Berger or Joe Smith and give them a retainer fee for a federal court suit in Nashville and get into it.
Which could be $4,000 or $5,000.
In that range.
In that range.
Yeah, higher or lower with the, depending
And the
on
problem is you don't know what the verdict's going to be when you get there.
And this is the dilemma for her, as she can explain to you. You know, I have told her, I can't guarantee that I'm going to win this case. I think we will. I think we filed a summary judgment motion on it. But our problem with this is that I think what they're doing is so unethical. I've filed a complaint with the disciplinary board against this particular law firm, and the one thing I need to mention is that you can't get, as I said, monetary damages, and you have to show what's called standing. And this question of whether you can look in on the internet and identify something has just been considered. Actually, last week it was argued in the U.S. Supreme Court. You guys need to take a break.
We're going to go to a break.
I'll follow up on that in a minute.
Ken Berger's with us. Morgan Newman's with us. Ed Raymer here. Jackson's on the board. We'll be back right after our first series of breaks. Please stay with us. Hello, everyone. It's Ed with Private Investigations, Middle Tennessee. You know, if you just need someone checked out on a background check, tag them a run, or if you need someone full-fledged to follow, give us a call. You can reach me at 615-390-7219. That's 615-390-7219, or check out our website at piofmt.com. That's piofmt.com.
I felt so alone, scared, angry, full of self-pity. I just wanted to die, so I took another drink. Then I heard about AA and went to my first meeting. The people there talked about those same feelings. I was no longer alone. They gave me help to stop drinking and hope to start living. Alcoholics Anonymous, it works. Look us up. Check your phone book, newspaper, or aa.org.
Hey, this is Ed, everybody. Want to tell you about a sponsor of ours. We've got Complete Yard Care. Their slogan is, we do it all. Low maintenance landscape design, retaining walls, tree removal, stump grinding, lawns cut, mulching, landscaping. Now you can reach them at 615-785-0384. Or you can look them up on the web at CompleteYardCareTN.com. They have a 5-star ranking on Google. That's Complete Yard Care. We do it all. Go to J. Mullins Jewelers and check out their collection of reactor watches. They're located at 352 West Northfield Boulevard right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And also custom-made jewelry. If you want it, they can make it for you. Also gifts for any and all occasions. Weddings, graduations, family reunions, anniversaries, all of it. That's J. Mullins Jewelers, 352 West Northfield Boulevard right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Yeah, we are back, and I want to tell you about one of my newest sponsors right now, Keep It Running Heating and Air. If your family are looking for a local family-owned heating and cooling company, let me introduce you to Joe at Keep It Running Heating and Cooling Company. Joe has over 12 years experience in this field, and his company, Keep It Running, are located right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. They're fully licensed, insured, and bonded, and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you with all your heating and cooling needs. So if you're looking for a company you can trust, call Joe today at 615-962-2397. That's 615-962-2397. And you can visit their website at keepitrunning.heatingandcooling.com. And you can catch them on Facebook as well. And look up Joe and Melissa. Wonderful young people just getting started in that business. And they need your help. And they're very good at it. He's done this for more than a dozen years. And, Ken, we've all got into something. You're into something tonight. And I'll tell you this, and I talked to Joe about this, everything has become something you're either in or out of. The days of me fixing your car under my shade tree are pretty well over.
You're right.
And in something like what you're talking about here.
It's very specialized.
It is. Everything has become a lot, not everything, but a lot of things have become that way. Ken Berger's here. Morgan Beasley Newman is with us. Morgan, I wanted you to know I'm glad you're here because, Ken, as I told you earlier, I was concerned. I saw on Facebook you were buried in the sand on a beach somewhere. I said, hey, that's going to be my potential guest. I mean, and I got on the phone to call Ken. Said, yeah, we're in trouble because she may not make it back.
Those kids, they'll do anything.
Oh, that they will.
Yes,
because
they
I knew
will.
your daddy as a younger man and my brother.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
But
we
we're
won't
glad
hold
to
that
have
one
you
against
here.
me.
We're glad to have you. I told the joke once. We can take just bend the rules for a minute. Your grandfather always bought your grandmother every year or two a new Cadillac, and Joe would always put the gold package on it. And there's one thing about in town, when Joe Beasley got ready to trade Cadillacs, everybody wanted his. They wanted his old one, because it was excellent. Miss Jean drove it, and so they were in the middle of a trade or something. They were waiting on a shipment of a new car, and I was standing. We were right next door there at Buster's, Raymer Brothers, and your dad Terry Beasley.
Georgetown Autos.
Yes, and me and your dad were standing there talking, and your grandmother pulled up in a different car. And I went next door and I told my brother Steve. I said, "Well," and I think Vaughn was with us then too. I said, "Boys, we're in a recession." He said, "Well, what made you say that?" I said, "Jean Beasley just pulled up in a Toyota."
She drove a Cadillac till the day she died.
Well, he didn't have it ready for her, and I'm
Yep.
sure he caught heck over
Yeah,
that because
I'm sure.
she had to
I'm
wait a
sure,
day or
yes.
two without her Cadillac. But I mean, they were just wonderful people,
Well, thank you
and
for saying
and
that.
your dad
I
and
definitely
mom,
thought so.
wonderful people. Yeah, I mean. And just, I see your dad far too so. We're generally at a restaurant somewhere
Yeah.
where we're, out getting a bite to eat or
He's
something.
around town.
Yeah, and wonderful people. Ken, you couldn't ask for a better choice of client. I can tell you that.
I had figured that out.
Yeah, and
I'm
it's
lucky
so
to have
ironic
this
when
guy over here.
when I talk to Ken about this. I can't believe how we've come full circle. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and I couldn't be happier to be here tonight. Thank you so much for doing
as I
this.
said,
And Morgan, thank you.
Well,
these local businessmen who are getting these letters, I don't think they've slowed down. I don't think wouldn't been intimidated by essentially the countersuit that we filed against them in federal court, asking for our fees to try to slow this down. There are two or three crazy points on all of this that make it hard. Somebody's out there driving around listening to this thing. Well, there's got to be more than this. They're not telling us.
Right.
Morgan, tell the listeners. You were talking about it a minute ago before you went into break. With local businesses coming out of COVID.
Well, it's like I was saying, we just came out of COVID. We have so many local businesses that barely have legs to stand on.
Right.
And we, I'm not tooting our own horn, but we did what any good person would have done. We helped any person that we could.
Sure. We all had to.
Yes, but
sure.
we have people that have taken care of us for years and have been faithful to our family and our business. And we tried to do what we could to help those people.
Sure.
We can't do things like that, and we're not able to take care of our community when we have things like this happen and people are just walking by trying to take money out of everybody's pocket. But what they're doing is they're kicking everybody while they're down and they're scared. They know that we just came out of this, and they're taking advantage. Is all they're doing.
Sure.
And it's pitiful that that's what they have to do. To
Well,
make money.
the pivotal point on all of this, trying to decide, is it just something that we don't like because they're suing? It's not that. It is inherently, at its core. I can't set it up. You don't need a law degree to look at this business model, and this is a business model, a planned business model.
Yes.
I think it's being done. Well, I know it's being done all over the country. The case that is before the U.S. Supreme Court now is the Laufer case, Laufer, involving Atchison Hotels. It was argued in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. Listened to it online last week, and I felt encouraged. I have to say, I felt encouraged by the justices. Particularly Justice Sotomayor's questions and new Justice Thomas. I was encouraged by their questions and their probing because they were really entirely independent of this attorney's fee thing that is so enraging that is
Sure.
part of the Wampler firm, Ms. Hudo's business model to where they come in and say, you either pay me $8,000 or you go hire your lawyer. We don't want to talk about you fixing it. It could be something as minor as painting
Sure, they're
the
not
lines.
concerned about being repaired at all.
No,
they don't care.
They don't care about. I want you to send you a picture, but in the meantime, before we talk about anything else, send me that $8,000 that's non-negotiable. And that's entirely aside from that question, which is a central issue in what we filed in the pleadings in Ms. Newman's case. Entirely aside from that, the real interesting legal issue is in this Laufer case. Hundreds, not dozens, hundreds of people around the country, disabled individuals, have pursued a practice of going on the internet. They would go to the website for Atchison Hotels.
Right.
And if they thought that there were insufficient statements in that posting on the website that informed the disabled what their resources were to accommodate them,
Right.
they would then go to one. They label these people ADA testers. ADA testers. They then go to this law firm, and they send the letter and file the suit, just as they have done with Ms. Beasley and dozens of other Murfreesboro business people in the last 6 months or so, and continuing to do it. So, what is interesting about that? What is interesting about it is that the federal courts around the country, the state trial courts, there are the trial courts, and then there's the intermediate appellate courts,
Sure.
and there's the U.S. Supreme Court. The trial courts have been all over the place about this idea of, do you have to have what's called concrete harm? And they use those words, concrete harm, to have, the word is standing. You got to have standing to file a lawsuit, or the court doesn't have jurisdiction to hear the case. So they have filed these suits, hundreds. This Miss Loeffler has filed something like 400 cases around the country, and
400.
This one judge up in New York, a judge up in the First Circuit up there, said, enough is enough. These people have no intention of going to the hotel in Sarasota or Las Vegas.
Sure, right.
They're just saying, I have identified this as a technical deficiency, and I want it corrected, and I want all my attorney's fees paid for that. And thousands of dollars in attorney's fees. So about 50% of the appellate courts, that's the point I'm trying to get to, 50% of the appellate courts around the country said, you've got to show that you drove up to Miss Newman's Avis place down there,
Sure.
and you couldn't park your van and get your wheelchair out, or there was a huge abutment there, a barrier of some kind that I couldn't get my
as
van.
it should be.
Sure.
As it
Right.
should be, as you say. And so
Right.
half of them said, you got to show that before you have concrete harm. The other half have said, no, you can just, like you were laughing a minute ago about your smoking.
Right,
analogy.
yeah, years ago.
I may
Right.
want to go to this hotel, and please, I'm not exaggerating this. There are courts that have ruled that just because you were aware that there is a breach in the XYZ hotel in Denver, Colorado,
Right.
that you might want to visit one of these days, that you can file a lawsuit. I mean, that kind of nonsense. No wonder people lose confidence in the legal
Yeah,
system.
sure.
That
Sure.
crazy stuff. There are judges somewhere who have looked at that and said, that's okay. Give them give them some money.
Yeah,
They
it
can
makes
pay
you
it."
wonder. Yeah,
And so-
all of us have had that doubt. So this
well,
thing is
sure.
rigged. It's crooked. It's whatever.
But that's the status
Yeah.
of things right now legally. The Loeffler case was argued last week with the hotel system saying, you got to come in here and show you had a concrete harm, not that you might choose to visit this place
Sure.
someday. And so that's one of the issues we have in this case. But our primary issue on behalf of Ms. Newman and her family and the issues in this case is that it fundamentally is an unethical and probably illegal business model by this attorney Rebecca Hutto in
Oh, I
Memphis
don't doubt. Yeah,
and the Wampler law firm to come
Yeah.
to them and say, here's a complaint. I mean, it's pretty intimidating. 12, 13-page, well-prepared complaint
Sure.
that they send to 500 people.
Once they get it done, it's just
Yeah.
a matter of going to the copy machine and just spitting it out.
And
yeah.
she will tell you if they had any opportunity, if Miss Hutto had called her, if this
There would have been no
plaintiff,
question.
David Jordan
it would have
is
been
his name.
fixed in a
Sure.
matter of
Yeah.
a week.
We don't.
Sure.
The lines on your ADA
Pavement.
symbols are fading.
Right, I
Fix
understand.
those.
And I will say, we're like any businessman. We have a business plan that we follow, and we
Sure.
redo our parking lots every 5 years. We've never
Sure.
had a problem as long as we've been in business, and we've been doing this a long time. As you mentioned, this was my
Sure.
grandfather's business
Right.
that
Yeah.
my dad and I have been blessed and fortunate enough to get to run. And we would not want to deter anyone from being able to get into one of our businesses.
Sure.
That doesn't even make sense.
Right. Yeah. I
know,
mean, you
from
need
a-
need all the greenbacks you can
Yes,
get. One way or another.
And also, we would never want to deter anyone that was physically unable. We would not want to put them in that situation where they could not get in and out of
Sure.
somewhere. That's just not the kind of people that we are.
No, I know that for now.
and if
You
we-
don't. Yeah, you might want to explain that to some people that are listening. But folks, I'll tell you, Sharon, thank you for listening. I'll tell you, they're all calling. Thank you so much. Here, I've got them. Stu, thank you. They have all written in. Sharon, Eric, Carol Ann Elmore. She's down in Chattanooga. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, as usual, Kimberly. PT, Brenda, my cousin. She's in Kentucky, by the way. Matt, Kathy, thank all of you. Appreciate you so much. And let me cut to the chase. The old 1-2 here. The ADA, and we were talking about this before we came in here. Where are they at on this? Where are they? I mean, okay, Morgan gets a letter. It looks like that is where it would come from initially.
You want to know something funny? The ADA office, and I've actually not got to relay this to Ken yet because I've found it in my research this weekend. Their office, actually, the parking lot there is not compliant.
That sounds.
And there is a ABC News article that anyone could Google and find, and it has video footage of them driving around the parking lot. They actually go to the front desk of the ADA office and say, "This is not a public access building." So
I wonder if some of these people want to be Speaker of the House. You talk about the gang that can't shoot straight. Okay, all you Republicans just sit there and cry in your beer. But listen.
Oh,
no.
Let me mention one thing quick before it leaves my mind, Ed.
Yes.
I think the distinction you were asking about a minute ago, you were asking, does the government play any regulatory role in this? They do, but not in Title III. This Title III that this shakedown from this Memphis law firm is going on with it, and all the letters to the local Murfreesboro businessmen. All of this is being filed under Title III, and it is what's called a private right of action.
Right.
Found a honey hole.
Yeah. It's I'll repeat what I said at the beginning of the show because it's so important. The backdrop to this whole story that is so important is that Title III says you can get two things. You can't get damages. You can't say, "Oh, I tried to pull in there and I missed my plane to Nashville because I couldn't get my." You can't get damages for that. Even if that happened, you can't get damages. You can get two things. You can get one of the federal judges in Nashville to say, "Miss Newman, you need a ramp. You've got there's an elevation of 7 inches from the parking lot up into your business. You need a ramp, and I'm ordering you to do that ramp, and I'm going to because." Poor Miss Hutto had to file this lawsuit against you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to order her. Yeah. She's filed a fee affidavit here stating that she has 11.5 hours at her standard rate through $400 an hour.
Right.
That's what we're going to, because it is directly tied to it, directly referable to it. So what the takeaway for all of this, I hope, will be for any businessman here in Murfreesboro who knows somebody who's received this and they're laying awake at night worrying about it. First of all, please quit laying awake at night and worrying about it.
Agreed. Right.
These things.
I've lost enough sleep for all of us.
These things are winnable. These cases are winnable.
Yeah.
They're winnable. I am hopeful that our case will be the case where the federal judge in Nashville assigned to one of the finest judges in the country. I've tried 4 or 5 cases in front of him, and there's not a smarter, more compassionate, common sense-oriented judge on the federal bench in the country than Waverly Crenshaw. That's who we're assigned to.
Okay.
I believe he probably will wait to make a decision in our case until the U.S. Supreme Court rules on this standing issue. But I am hopeful that a part of whatever relief he grants us in this case, he will issue an order that says you cannot. That's something I skipped over a minute ago. I need to go back and pick it up.
Good.
The letter, the demand letter that comes says you got to pay attorney's fees. The complaint, the sample standard complaint says you got to pay our attorney's fees. And when there is a contact made and you say, well, I'll fix it. No, never mind. All we want to talk about right now are these attorney's fees. You either pay us $8,000 or you go hire Joe Smith and pay him several thousand. But here's the key thing. When they settle it, when they do settle it, as so many dozens of Middle Tennessee businesses have written these checks out to these characters for $8,000 for attorney's fees. When they settle it, and they get the settlement contract, they have subtly changed the wording. There's no mention in the settlement agreement about attorney's fees. Ask you, why would that be the case? Mm-hmm. Why would they do that? Why would it change? Why would they, since they've emphasized it in the letter, in the demand letter, they've emphasized it in the contract, and they've said you got to.
I'm following you.
Attorney's fees are the only thing you can get under the ADA. It is illegal to get anything in the form of money under the ADA unless it is an attorney. It's got to be an attorney's fee. They changed the wording very subtly, hoping, I suppose, why else they would do it, to a payment of $8,000 in lieu of any attorney fees. If you can't get damages, what's it for? What's it for? You can't get mental stress damages. You can't get any form of compensatory damages or punitive damages. What does it mean when they subtly, quietly, discreetly change the wording from $8,000 in attorney's fees to when the final settlement documents, it appears as a payment in lieu of attorney's fees? Well, I'm going to answer that question for myself.
Okay, go
and
right ahead.
I don't have any business doing, but I think they're splitting the fee with these so-called ADA testers.
Sure.
They claimed in our mediation the other day that he was
those people get paid too.
And he's not driving around to business targeting these people for free.
Right.
We even offered, and I'll say, I probably shouldn't say this, but I will. We offered to pay her a decent amount of money that she does not earn, and to give a donation in this man's honor for the name of
They
advocacy.
weren't interested in a donation.
You know what she
no.
came back with?
Right.
Well, tell Miss Beasley that we're able to take payments.
So we're going to put you on the never.
Yeah,
the payment plan.
In other words,
We
let's change the
agreed.
subject. Let's
Yes.
not talk about this
Yes, we're going to
contribution
turn
to
it
the
around
charity.
again. They had no need for that, no desire to hear it.
That sounds like a deal me and your grandfather would have worked up. Now, I'll tell you, Ed, here's what we can do, okay? And when you talk like that, you got to get out of the way. But, no, what I'm saying is this. And when the whole thing started, okay, Americans with Disabilities Act's federal law.
Yep.
State government, local government,
1990.
county government has
1990.
nothing to do with it. They're a government agency. They're not going to just send you a letter and say, Morgan, you're out of compliance. It's a $5,000 fine, and plus you got to fix it. They will give you a period of time to get this taken care of.
Which would make it a wonderful organization. Who wouldn't want something like that in this country?
Right.
Just defend the people that, might not have the effort, time, or energy, or maybe even mental capability.
And for those
to
of
take
you
care
that
of it.
are listening, and we've talked about this before we came in here, and Ken and Morgan too, this would not apply to your big box stores, your supermarkets. All of those plan for this way in advance.
Yes.
As you know,
They're hitting the mom and pop.
they're hitting mom and
I want
pop.
to emphasize, it's not just Murfreesboro. They are going to small towns all over the country where people have to drive to another area to seek a federal court. That's extra expense.
And I'll
that
tell you
people do
this
not have.
because, and Ken and I talked about this. They're here because we're the apple we're the apple of their eye right now because this place is growing like crazy.
Yes.
Low-hanging fruit.
Right. And what a better place to come for a young lady here that's inherited a bunch of property. And let's face it, and all of us when we were younger were in this situation. Well, what do I do? Nothing scares you more than getting a letter from an attorney or from the court.
And I'll say we have never had, Ken will tell you, we're kind of laughing. I had no idea what any of this was. We have never had any type of legal trouble. We have been more by the book. And for this to come up, it's almost fun.
No, because I do know this for a fact. Now, it was different in Joe's day and in my day, but anything Joe Beasley did, he did first class.
Exactly.
He did it first class. And if there was a law, that'd be, he'd probably gripe and grumble, and he'd come next door to me, stand there with a cup of coffee, and this federal government is killing me. Okay, I know.
He'd gripe about it. I'm not going
and
to
he griped about I know that. But when he fixed it right.
Yes, absolutely.
It was done right. I know that.
Say, you can drive and look at our buildings.
And your dad the same way.
Well, Broad Street is, everyone knows it's been dwindling over the years. It's the oldest road, main road in town.
Right.
And we take pride in making sure that our buildings look good because
you've got two customers. You got my wife at Avis. They've got my wife and our daughter every year. We did this past year because everything's been discombobulated with all this COVID stuff, and. Joni and I are getting the age, and Ken and Judy can tell you this, I'm sure, procedures that are being done. We're into all that now, which I'm so proud of. And Jax, when you get a chance, come on in. We'll go to our last series of breaks. But, we didn't go this last year, but we have a lady down there we rent a condo from. If you'd ever told me I'd ever pay that much money a week for a condominium, I'd have told you you're crazy. I'd take the money, put it in my pocket, and keep it. But it doesn't work that way, does it, Ken?
And
what the wife wants, she gets.
Yeah, I know. And, but, we go down there and, I forgot. I lost my train of thought. I got to think about spending all that money, but but I mean, this is shows like this. I love having you on up here. I appreciate you going, but it is such a waste of everyone's time. It really is. Ken, you not see this.
That's a profound statement. It's such a waste of everybody's time. You're
really.
Right.
It's wasting the court's time. It's wasting your time. It's wasting mortgage time. Everybody.
And you know who benefits? Not the disabled people.
No.
The remedy is 90 days down the line, send us a picture. And in the meantime, they pocketed $8,000 or whatever they can finagle.
Sure.
And it's not going to help or benefit anyone or anything.
Nope.
It's
That's
lining
the name
the
of the
pocket
game.
of a lawyer.
And
that's not something that, our money is going to go to do unless it's someone that's defending us like Mr. Burke.
We're going to go to our last series of breaks, and I want to tell you about Keep It Running Heat and Air. If you and your family are looking for a locally owned heating and cooling company, call Joe at Keep It Running Heating and Air. And he's got over 12 years experience in this field. And him and his company, Keep It Running, are located right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. They're fully insured, licensed, bonded, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help you with your family with all of your heating and cooling needs. So if you're looking for a company you can trust, call Joe today, 615-962-2397. That's 615-962-2397. And you can visit their website at keepitrunningheatingandcooling.com. And you can catch them on Facebook as well. Jackson, thank you. You're going to take us to our last series of breaks. Ken Berger's with us. Morgan's here with us. And we're going to talk about the Americans with Disabilities Act when we come back. Stay with us. Hello, everyone. It's Ed with Private Investigations in Middle Tennessee. If you just need someone checked out on a background check, tag them a run, or if you need someone full-fledged to follow, give us a call. You can reach me at 615-390-7219. That's 615-390-7219. Or check out our website at piofmt.com. That's piofmt.com.
I felt so alone, scared, angry, full of self-pity. I just wanted to die, so I took another drink. Then I heard about AA and went to my first meeting. The people there talked about those same feelings. I was no longer alone. They gave me help to stop drinking and hope to start living. Alcoholics Anonymous, it works. Look us up. Check your phone book, newspaper, or aa.org.
Hey, this is Ed, everybody. Want to tell you about a sponsor of ours. We've got Complete Yard Care. Their slogan is, we do it all. Low maintenance landscape design, retaining walls, tree removal, stump grinding, lawns cut, mulching, landscaping. Now you can reach them at 615-785-0384. Or you can look them up on the web at CompleteYardCareTN.com. They have a 5-star ranking on Google. That's Complete Yard Care. We do it all. Go to J. Mullins Jewelers and check out their collection of reactor watches. They're located at 352 West Northfield Boulevard right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And also custom-made jewelry. If you want it, they can make it for you. Also gifts for any and all occasions. Weddings, graduations, family reunions, anniversaries, all of it. That's J. Mullins Jewelers, 352 West Northfield Boulevard right here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. All right. And Jackson, thank you for a great job on the board as always. Thank you all. Morgan, thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Yes,
thank
absolutely. Thank you for having us.
And I hope your folks are doing fine. Now, you have two
girls.
Two
Wonderful girls.
Right. They're the ones bearing you in the sand.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Right.
Yeah, 11 and 5. So
Right.
they're growing on us.
Ken, how's Judy doing?
She's well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Tell her I give my best.
I will do so.
And some other things, but we'll talk about that off the air.
We enjoy your show.
Oh, I'll bet you do. I called him one day. He said, I got to tell you, it said, I don't listen all the time, so it depends on what CNN has got going. I can't compete with CNN. You're being honest. He's being honest. I think about it, too. So, honey, when that thing comes on at 9, I'll be home as quick as I can because I'm going to see it special, But we're all, and now this time of year with football, you're fighting college and pro and, of course, high school. This is big. Jackson can tell you he works the board here for them on Friday night, starting on Thursday and Friday night. And of course, Brian and John do a great job, and it's you know. Okay, I get it. I've got a building here in town. I'm a small fry or whatever, and I get a letter tomorrow from one of these people. What should a person do?
That person should not panic. But when you really hit the nail on the head earlier in setting that up, people aren't used to getting these demand letters. People try to do the right thing, and the profit margin's not great. Everybody's coming out of COVID.
Right.
And what do you do when you get a letter from an attorney and it says, we've checked you out and you are not in compliance, and here's a complaint we've already prepared. We've got this gun cocked, loaded, and ready to go. And if you lose this case, not only are you going to have to make all these improvements, but you're going to have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars of attorney's fees. We're coming over from Memphis to try this case.
Sure.
So that they dangle out in front of them. But if you write me this check for $8,000 right now,
all will be forgiven.
All will be forgiven, and all you got to do is promise, look me right in the eye, and give me a good, solemn, sincere promise you're going to make it right, and then send us a picture about 90 days from now, and everything goes away. Well, now that's a seductive alternative to having. When Morgan came in, I said, I don't make any guarantees. I have my home runs, I have my strikeouts.
Sure.
And I can't guarantee you that I can win it. But this level of craziness looks like something that I can win. And I don't, we've got the Supreme Court looking at this crazy standing issue where people they're trying to, that the threshold thing is you have to show concrete harm. So that's one defense. The real defense is this attorney's business model, and that's the way we've described it in our pleadings. It is a patently unethical business model where you don't have a chance. Your alternative is you write the check to Ms. Hutto or you write it to Ken Berger. So what I would say to these businessmen who have gotten these letters and are on the fence about what to do about it, many of them have already settled. They just said, they've said, I've got, and I have no criticism for them. It's a business decision.
I understand.
I have no criticism. That's not a sign of weakness.
If you've got the money to do it,
it's a business. It's a business decision.
Right.
And they don't want to be bothered with depositions and dealing with lawyers. So it's an enticing, attractive alternative to getting involved in a lawsuit in federal court in Nashville. But it's wrong. It is what they're doing is wrong. And again, you don't need a law degree to figure out that what these people, Rebecca Hutto, I can't say her name enough for our listeners. Either you get a letter from Rebecca Hutto, you call your attorney. Don't call me. I'm going to handle Miss Newman's here. But, but
Ken's not up here to advertise.
Call your lawyer.
Call
your lawyer, and if he doesn't know what to do with it, tell him to call me, and he can have my file. I've got it all worked up. I got all the research done on it. He could have my file and go with it, no charge.
Morgan, you were going to say something.
Well, I was just going to say to Ken's point, we goodness, now my thoughts are fleeting me.
Where do you get 65?
I know. Goodness. He kept talking. Now I can't remember what I was going to say. No, but to Ken's point, Miss Hutto has messed with the wrong person. And I hate to say that, and I'm not trying to sound big and bad or anything like
I understand.
that. But I am a local realtor. I am a property manager, a mother, and a business owner. And I have, quite frankly, a family business that I was given that I have every duty to protect. And unfortunately for her, we're not going to go away. If we do have to go to court and we do have to, to cross that bridge, we will. But, I just don't believe that this is right.
No.
And I believe I have a duty to my fellow businessmen here in town to stand up to this. And that's why we're here tonight.
Right. Well, and I'll tell you right now, and throw your politics aside, I will guarantee you, because I really didn't have any idea what Joe's politics were. I think I had a pretty good idea, but I mean, I'll guarantee you, Ken and Joe Basie on this, you would hit it off just perfect, because he just said, with all due respect to that, hell no, I ain't sending you a check.
Yes,
not just because you said
it's
so.
about what her dad said to her about it.
Exactly.
I could have gone to Joe Basie and said, Joe, listen, I'm down on my luck. Could you loan me a $500? Here, take it. What do you need? I've got $1,000. You need this? That's fine. But just send him, Mr. Basie, it looks like your property line's over on us about 6 inches. I'm going to sue you for $10,000. I'd have had a fight coming.
Absolutely.
Well, it wouldn't have been a fight. He'd have just said, what is your problem? You know, it's just that simple. That's the type
and
guy
he
he
made it very
was.
clear to iterate that to me as a child. You know, they knew that I was an only child of an only child that would be taking this over someday. It's kind of been my destiny, I guess you could say. And Dad, you know, is the same way after being in business for so long. Mom too.
Yes.
So it's just in my blood. You know, I was not taught to lay down to demands. So
No, and I mean, here's the thing. I can tell you about this family. Good friends of ours to this day, Kenny and Esther Bates, live in Joe and Jean's old house.
yes.
What was, I forget, I get lost every time I go out there.
Over on Venus.
Olympias?
Venus.
Venus.
Theirs was on Venus. The
Drive.
circle down on Venus. Yep.
And, you know, they take extra special care of that place because Joe and your grandmother did. And it was just great. And when I walked in, I was so glad to see, you know, the place had been anything, as I said earlier, anything Joe Beasley did, he did right.
Yes.
You know.
My dad jokes and compares him to Elvis. He loved white and he loved everything to be perfect, shiny.
And when I walked in the house, when I went out there for something, I forget what it was for. We may have done some work for your granddad or something. Steve may have tended a car or something. I don't know what it was. We had
I'm
Raymer
sure,
Brothers
plenty
Tinting
of
Glass.
cars.
Oh yeah, cars everywhere. And I mean, it was a beautiful place, except for the thing. I walked in the living room, and there was your father's graduation picture hanging on the wall, and I said,
That bowl cut.
"That needs to be out in the where the pool table is, by the dartboard." Terry, I love you to death, and
Hey, makes a good joke.
no, but Ken, what I'm telling you, you've got quality people here. These people are not out here just helter skelter.
I know that, and I want to emphasize in furthering what she said a moment ago. She told me when she first came in, and if we had a problem, we would have fixed it. We didn't need a lawyer to make us fix it.
Sure.
We sure don't need to pay a lawyer $8,000 and then fix it. We keep our property in proper shape. The obnoxiousness of what this attorney in Memphis
Is
is
that
doing.
absolutely what it is? It's
The obnoxiousness of it, you take the complaint and you lay it down, and the complaint says that there are barriers down there that a wheelchair can't roll over. The truth is, it is as flat can be. The complaint says there's no place for handicap parking. There is. So, one of the complaints for this guy. Her plaintiff is David Jordan, and I don't know if he's in Murfreesboro or in Nashville because they filed various lawsuits down there. Half of them say he's in Nashville, half of them say he's in Murfreesboro. But one of the things they emphasize is that he could not he had not visited the property, but he knew enough about it that he knew that there were barriers there that he could not go across.
He knew enough about it. It's like
they refer to him as her in 3 places in the complaint. You talk about a pro forma cut and paste. They're so sloppy and so comfortable with this 8,000 the quick work that these $8,000 shakedowns have produced. Most people don't challenge them on it. They didn't even go through the complaint to check the gender. They refer to David Jordan as her 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
So, what kind of legal handiwork is that?
And we all know the kinds of scams that are going around this day. When we first read this, we thought it was a scam. None of it made sense.
Sure.
Well, it's not a scam technically,
but
it's
not.
It's a shakedown.
On paper, when you first get it in the mail, it was like, what is this? Why are we receiving this? And then, we figured out it actually had some merit to it. So
well,
that's
and
why we're
Ken,
here
as
today.
you know, I don't do it much anymore. Well, I really don't do it at all because people have gotten so grouchy. But I served papers for years. Mm-hmm. No one likes to be served. I've been served myself. Nothing bright, nothing major, no big deal. But nobody, it's going to, I think, man, what is this? It's going to take time, especially in divorce cases. Mm-hmm. It's a bad situation. Mm-hmm. But, we've got some good attorneys here in this town. I've always said that. We've got some good attorneys. Now, we get one every once in a while that's a little shaky, okay? And we had one once, and for you guys that are, and no, because I'm in your boat too, that are older, we've been around this thing a little bit, you learn after a while. Oh, him? Yeah. You might ought to call. I'd like to give you a suggestion if you could. You might want to call this gal or this guy. Okay. Well, we had one, and, like I said, we don't have many, thank goodness. Because they'll get the message from you guys. you might want to change your methods. And thank goodness we do still have some judges that, that's not going to fly in this court, And we were talking one day with one of our elder statesmen of the law game around here, and you'd know him if I told you. And I said, what about this guy? Anyway, I said, he's always, he's in the paper, he's doing crazy things and all that. He said, he's average attorney. He's, And he had a firm, and they had 5 or 6 attorneys. You know how it is. You get so many people in. I said, what are you giving? What do you think? He said, scale 1 to 10. Ed said, I'd give him a 5. I said, you'll give me a 5, and I ain't even an attorney. He said, no, I was going to give you. He said, no, I was going to give you a 6. I said, if you just go to law school, you might get higher than that. That's how bad it can get.
Right.
That's pretty bad. He was sort of making a tongue in cheek about it, But you know what I'm talking about. And it doesn't take 1 or 2 to ruin the the whole barrel.
You can earn a good living practicing law without hurting people.
Yeah, without running around making everybody mad.
And the idea, just you think about it. Again, don't need a law degree to figure out the basic idea of saying somebody needs to update their property. What do? Like you said earlier, you write them a letter or you call them and say, my client tried to use your property. They couldn't do it. You need to fix this. If it's ignored and repeatedly ignored and you file a lawsuit, this ADA law is a very worthy. Title III of the ADA is a very worthy, good law, good legislative intent intended to help people who need to be helped.
And we don't want anyone to think that we feel otherwise.
Absolutely.
We fully stand behind this law, and it is
Right.
needed.
It's a great law,
it's
but
understood.
It's like anything else. Unscrupulous people can pervert the good purposes of it. And when you adopt a business model where the idea is to pay a lawyer's fees, something's wrong. The whole purpose of the Wampler law firm of Memphis and Miss Huda is to make money for that law firm. They don't give a. They don't care.
I know. They don't
care if
Gene
these
and Joe
people make
Beasley
these
used to say Jesse James used a gun.
Right.
That's
and
all she would have said about
it. And that's exactly the same thing. I'm telling you, it's I'm glad to have both of you. You're welcome to come back anytime. Morgan, you're welcome to come back anytime, by the way.
It's much ado about nothing, isn't it?
It's really, it is.
Maybe we can talk about something better next time.
Yeah, maybe growing gardens or something, growing good tomatoes.
I can talk to you about that.
But,
I tell you, they say it's on my heart. Listen,
it is. We get a little fired up.
We want every businessman in Murfreesboro who gets one of these letters from Rebecca Hutto of the Wampler Law Firm to call their lawyer and fight these things.
I would like
you
to
are
pass
welcome
this
to
on.
reach out to me. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Sure.
talk over you there.
No,
if
go
anyone
right
wants
ahead.
to reach out and talk, I am here and available. I work for Benchmark Realty, and I'm easy to find.
Call
What's your
her,
number?
don't call me.
Yes, call me. My number is 615-624-0599. I can be reached anytime. I'm around town, so we can meet for coffee, talk on the phone, whatever we need to do.
Unless she's in Florida being buried on a beach.
That's
Now,
true.
I'm telling you,
That shouldn't be till next
it's just
summer,
a pleasure,
though. We gotta
Morgan,
get back to
to
work.
see you again after so many years. And my best to your mother and father. I haven't seen your mother in years. And we're going to get out. Kelsey's coming in here to take over for Bill. Jackson's been on the board doing a great job. And I'll tell you what, till next Sunday night at 8 o'clock, Ed Raymer for the Edwin and Raymer Show, and I'll catch you down the road. Good night,
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Thank you.